Hi, this is Barbara back again, training people and talking about my Sunrise program. One of my trainees just asked me why we join people, and why do we keep joining people? How long do we keep joining people? Like, do we cut it down after a while? That's sort of all separate, different questions. But the most central thing is that a person who is autistic, isms, we call it isming. People in the Sunrise program have called it isming. I run a Sunrise program, not the Sunrise program, my version. And isming is just an outward symptom of that a person really needs to do something to sort of take care of themselves neurologically, and that they are really feeling kind of frayed by what's going on around them. So it's like a really good thing for them to feel like recentered neurologically. So we actually want to support and join that person all the way till they're all the way off the spectrum, because at the end of being off the spectrum, I've been told by people who did the training that I was in that it's the last thing to go. So all the other skills we're going to do, like talking in longer and longer sentences and being able to deal with multiple people in the room and all these things that are in the Sunrise developmental model. But then the isms are going to be there. They'll change form, like a person who does like this, if you insist on it, or even if they get sort of like notice something and they're into something else, they might switch to, maybe doing this. They might be doing this while they're doing what they used to do this. They'll start doing this instead, but it's still like you can tell it looks like an ism. It's kind of a repetitive and everything. So about why we join. So first of all, just to say generally, joining is good. That's why we do it. We don't need to withdraw it. The child will stop isming, because the opposite or compatible thing is to interact, and the more they interact and like interacting, the less and less they'll have to withdraw and be doing this, right? So but by nature, it's like if this thing bumps out that thing, this is like the isming, it will like fall off the map because there won't be space for her to need the coach. She'll just be comfortable talking and everything. Okay, so I anchor everything on my training pyramid. So this is basically down here about joining. So we're going to talk about this for a second. I think everything's backward, but I didn't know that when I was right. I just have to mirror right things. So that'd be kind of cool. I'll do that for one of these. For the time being, if it's all a little bit backward. But just to point out how fundamental it is, I just put your professionalism and everything, because if people don't show up, it doesn't really do a lot of good to teach or do anything. So that's kind of what happens outside the playroom. But once you're inside the playroom, the attitude, which is the core thing of loving, accepting, non-judgmental, happy, I also put playful, is the most important thing, followed by joining. Because when somebody goes into their own world, that's the only way, and this leads right into what we're going to talk about. This is the only way you can really love and accept a person, because a person who's in their own world, autistically speaking, doesn't want to be touched or interact with you. They don't want you to talk to them. They don't especially want you to touch them. They don't want to touch you. They don't want to talk to you. So if you were going to love and accept a person, if you've ever just been in a room with somebody and they just mill around while you're doing something else, it doesn't feel really loving and accepting or really anything interactive. But if you're joining the person when they are, let's say, doing this, it's like, I'm saying if we play act, we do this with each other, where you do this and I do this on the corner of your eye, you will feel like somebody's moving with you and doing something with you, versus you doing this and I'm walking around cleaning the dishes. You hear like this. We'll look at the price of the box. It feels like you're all alone, but this feels like you're connected. Okay, so we're already at 3 minutes. Let's get into why it seems to work. Because the reality is, it seems to work. Most people who doubt about joining and the validity or the value of joining, in my opinion, they've never done it, or never done it with their heart in the right place. So if you just say, okay, and I won't use names, but there's someone in our life that didn't want to learn the Sunrise program, do any joining. And I remember one day we were matching socks, and this person was over. And I like to incorporate Anna in what we do. So taking hot socks out of the dryer, and it's all kind of fun and warm and whatever. It's kind of fun. And we were matching up socks. And so Anna was putting her hand in the socks and kind of isming. She had one on each hand. She was kind of like, I don't know what she was doing with them. And this person who was totally not in the Sunrise program, I was just saying, you join her, do something. And she put the socks on, or did something with the socks similar. And then the minute because Anna really quickly came back out of her ism, because that's what happens. The joining seems to trigger a child or anyone really coming out of their ism with a lot of interest in interacting, not being dragged out and kind of hating it, half hating it. So what happened was she just almost threw the socks down and just started she didn't want to even touch them after. It was like she was only doing it as a ploy. She didn't actually really like or respect the sock activity. And Anna knew that. So she didn't like, and then that was like her one little window, and the rest of the time they didn't really interact the whole visit. So I'm saying is like, the kids know if you're doing it with the right spirit, that you're really like liking the thing too, which gets right into point number 1. We're demonstrating love and acceptance of a person, which is the core attitude, which is the foundation of the program in the playroom. We're demonstrating this for a person who you can't demonstrate it really any other way. This was the brilliance. This attitude was brilliant. This is one of the other major brilliant foundational principles of the Sunrise program, is that if somebody's doing what you're doing, you know that they have to have something in common with you, and you know that they have to not be rejecting that. So if I really hated how you do this with your hair, I was like, oh, I hate that. Guarantee you I would not be doing this with you and with a comfortable heart. I might be doing this kind of annoyed, and you would know it, right? So the attitude in which you join really matters. Okay, so point number 1 is how we demonstrate acceptance, which is going to be much more of a person's interest in coming out and dealing with you when they come out. So you're setting the groundwork for them to like you better and to feel at ease with you. And you know, it's really strange when you see somebody doing something that you really like, you go, oh, wow, I really do that with my dog too. I remember seeing people that run their dog with their stroller. I was one of the only people in where I used to live. I never saw anybody else like on a literally jogging with their dog or whatever. I was like, oh, cool, I used to do that. You feel like you have something real, and that's a real feeling. And autistic kids very rarely see anyone do anything that they do. They do some odd thing. No one's doing it. They're doing this. No one's doing it in their environment. So they feel so alone. And this really makes them feel for real without words. They get that you're connected. You care. You're something you're worth connecting with. Number 2, you are giving them a break. So autistic kids, if you think about it, all have, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, but I've observed it. I have autism. So I'm speaking from experience that you're neurologically afraid. You get overwhelmed really easily. It's too much for you to process through. We process slower than other people. So complicated, unexpected, not particularly desirable things happening, or like it like builds up and you need to take a break. And when people in the past who didn't do Sunrise, we had a floor time person. You could tell Anna was getting like kind of stressed, and they were trying to keep her going, and then she was stressed, and they were like, keep her going, and then she would just blow up, and for like 5 minutes she'd be screaming and kicking and didn't want to deal with that person. You could see it coming, but it gives them a break. It gives them control. So if they're like, like for a minute, have you ever like you're working and you're like, I gotta look at my phone, I need a break. Like everyone feels that, right? See, and she gets that instead of being off in her own world on her phone, she's like, I need a break, and she's like, and she looks over, and you're going. And she feels so great. She's like, oh, I took a break. Thank goodness. So everything you do just stops. And then when she wants to come back, she'll say, hey, what was that song again? And you'll go right back to the activity. So it's just like she hits the pause. It gives her control without words. She just kind of gives you that reaction. And this is great for kids who aren't verbal. They're like, I don't want to do. They're just like, I want to go away. And then you calmly turn with them, and everything gets quiet. And if they want to like tap and they want to hear their finger or their foot on something, they hear it. You tap on that side for a second. At the same rhythm. Tap. No, great. Oh, that's good. Do you see that? Like they're hearing it come back from the universe even stronger. And let me just say, as an autistic person, I have had people join me a few times, and it makes you come out of your ism. Like it's like you're flying back out of it. Like, you know, when you push styrofoam underwater, and like your kickboard at the pool, and you're pushing it underwater, and it really wants to come back out, and you suddenly let go, and it goes like out of the water. The lower you push it, the higher it comes, or whatever. That's how it feels when you come out of an ism when you're joined. I've had somebody join me when I was like, I do a lot of looking isming. I mean, not that much compared to my daughter, but there's a little bit. So like I'll be staring out the window because I have autism, or I did. So I was looking out a window, and somebody was like looking out the window with me. And I was like, oh, I kind of was like, I felt great. And I remember thinking like, what was that? And I was like, oh, you were joining me. I get it now. But like compare that to when you don't want to do something and somebody's just like pulling on your shoulder like, Mom, like, wait, I'm finishing this. Mom, like, you don't want, when you come out of that, you're just like, what do you want? And you really don't enjoy it, and you're not ready for it. And that's what it's like if you rush them out of their ism. You want them to just be like, I need a break, and now I'm ready. And they will come back, and they do come back. So point number 1 to review was demonstrating love and acceptance for a person who really doesn't want interaction at the moment. Number 2 is giving the kids a break. And number 3, I'm going to keep really brief because it's speculative, which is that I was a pre-med for a while, so what the heck? Let's just throw this in, which is I remember reading about mirror neurons around the time I forget. It wasn't that far before I had Anna, and it was saying that there were these monkeys that were being, they had those little implants and they were eating raisins and they had the implants. Have you heard about the study? I
No,
think it was in
specifically,
Italy
no.
actually. But anyway, so they have these, like, they put like these little rhesus monkeys. They put these implants that they can read the neurons in their brain, and they were studying them when they were doing something about getting these raisins as a reward or something. And they would do something, they get the raisins, and then what happened was this guy came in for lunch and he happened to be eating the raisins, or not the same ones, but like they had an extra pack and he was eating the raisins. He was like one of the people working in the lab, and he was thinking, well, they had the electrode still hooked up, and he ate some of the raisins in front of the monkey, and he noticed that like a pattern fired when he was eating them that looked really similar to the pattern of when the monkey ate the raisins, but it wasn't the same pattern. So here's like the monkey eating the raisins. Let's say it looks like this. Here's when the monkey looks at you eating the raisins. So it's really similar, but it's offset. And they think that this is the basis of empathy in people, and anything really, is that we have slightly offset neurons that we can tell the difference between what's happening to us and what it's actually like on a movie screen. So when you're actually watching a person who's like, they're being chased, and you're like, who's that person, right? And then like, you're thinking your heart is beating, but you actually don't really feel like getting up because you know it's not you, because it's the same, it feels really similar, but you know it's not you. But when someone's actually chasing you, you're going to know it's you. It's like you know the difference, and so does the monkey. So what happens is with mirror neurons is there's a theory that autism is maybe fundamentally, there's some kind of brain injury, but maybe the thing that happens is the mirror neuron system gets broken really early, like when they're like developing or something. So what happens is those neurons don't develop properly, or they get poisoned during the process when they're supposed to be happening. So you do something and they don't see it as what they do. Like you may be, I remember when I got injured and my daughter would like, if I was upset and crying, she would come over and just start hitting on me with her fist because she didn't like me crying. She's like, that upsets me. She wasn't even thinking, what does it feel like that I have a cut? She's just like, stop it, just stop it. So like she had no sense of, it was like no sense of empathy. And then I remember we actually, when she first started getting empathy, I remember the first time I ever saw it, I bumped my head and she said, ow. And I was just like, ah, because she got what it would be like to bump your head. And she got that, I mean, it's like that we think, I'm speculating, is the thing that gets strengthened because when somebody's joining you, you see you doing it and you see kind of like them doing it. And you get really used to seeing kind of like those two things interplay with each other. And somehow it ends up with empathy and the growing back. We don't know how it is. But that's the little bit about mirror neurons. So we're at 12 minutes and 43 seconds. Quick review. We are reviewing why to join people, the 3 major points, demonstrate love and acceptance, give the kids a break, and maybe mirror neuron recovery. Who knows? Thank you for coming. Good luck. Bye.